how narratives have the potential to shape our perceptions of the world and challenge cultural values.
They used to say that a child
Examples of Gattaca
has a greater chance of happiness.
and The Handmaid's Tale.
They don't say that anymore.
Welcome to English Demystified. Across families, cultures, political structures, and even continents, humanity shares the practice of producing a narrative.
Neurological condition, 60% probability. Manic depression, 42% probability. Attention deficit disorder, 89% probability. Heart disorder, 99% probability. Early fatal potential. Life expectancy, 30.2 years.
The name for the certificate?
Every single name is of significance, and it's really, really cool. This device that Nicol uses to bring further depth to all his characters is central to understanding what each character embodies in the story.
Anton?
No.
Anton? Priceless. Inestimable or praiseworthy. But
Vincent Anton.
quickly decided to be called Vincent, which means conquering or victorious. Because obviously now he would have to do such things to ever achieve stuff.
Yeah.
Another example of this is with the name Jerome Morrow. Jerome Eugene Morrow. His first name meaning sacred, perfection, and of Greek origin. Eugene means noble or well-born, and his last name Morrow relates to sea or coastal settlement, which is interesting when you think about the last scene in the movie, or that Jerome was a swimmer.
Except that I am not Jerome.
Exactly, which means overcomer, and he has to overcome because he isn't Jerome Morrow. His genes label him as a degenerate. He's invalid. So he physically climbs the helix structure of DNA as a symbol of how much he has to overcome. In Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, our perspectives are shaped.
None of the events inside its pages are not based on events that actually happened. This novel has the potential to shape perspectives and perceptions because it brings all these issues into a context that we relate to and that is familiar. Although most of us are aware of issues like this happening in other places in the world, it is very easy to remove ourselves from it, particularly in Western culture where we see things like what happened to women in Afghanistan presently. And although we empathise with the situation, in the words of Margaret Atwood, ignoring isn't the same as ignorance. You have to work at it.
A way that life in Gilead doesn't allow. Here she admits that they are unaware of the changes happening around them all the time. It's not just a criticism on Puritan Christian society, it's a criticism on every oppression on the basis of ignorance.
It's similar to how during the Atlantic slave trade, the slaves were given a copy of the Bible. However, they were given a different translation, a copy called the Slave Bible. The Slave Bible removed every anti-slavery story from Scripture. This included the Exodus from Egypt, the story of Onesimus, etc., in order to make it pro-slavery.
On the topic of issues with ignorance, we are to discuss, in our conclusion, the dangers of dismissing dystopias. Before we decide to dismiss a dystopia, whose story are we dismissing and what's the repercussions?
Narratives are essential for shaping our perspectives and challenging cultural values. I really hope you got something out of this. That's all for English Demystified.